was an exchange student living in Bangkok in 2008. I had a German friend, Nico, who was friends with Joran, and Nico and I were in the same university program together at Rangsit University, and Joran had been living, I don't know, maybe in Macau or something like that, like gambling and stuff, and then he moved to Bangkok, where he moved across the hall from me in my apartment building. And because I would hang out with Nico and the other exchange students a lot, Joran was often present, and so he would hang out with us all the time. And I knew from the very beginning that he was a pathological liar. The guy was just bad fucking vibes, like all the time, always talking about himself, really narcissistic, really self-absorbed, and had a really hair-trigger temper. He was always really upset when he didn't get his way. There were a couple times like he was kicked off of flights for smoking cigarettes in the bathroom. He was trying to get involved in some kind of a scheme trafficking women from Thailand into prostitution. But there was one night when we were hanging out, I was dating a Dutch dude named Robert at the time, and Robert and Joran got into a fight in Dutch, and Robert was like really mad at me, and he told me later what Joran had said. Joran had said that I had had sex with him, which wasn't true. And so they got in this big fight, and the party that we were having out in our courtyard was broken up, and I went up to my apartment, and Joran knocked on my door, and he said he wanted to apologize. So he invited me into his room. He offered me a beer. We smoked some weed, and then I started to feel really woozy, like really messed up. I had only had maybe 2 drinks that night, and I was starting to feel like wasted. And so I got up really quickly because I just had a really bad, scary feeling, and I ran out the door of his apartment, and then he immediately started chasing me. And since I lived right across the hall, luckily my door was unlocked, so I was able to just fall into my own apartment and collapse against the door, locking it, as he was like yelling and trying to shove his way inside. I woke up the next morning on the bathroom floor with the worst headache of my life, just feeling sick. He had definitely drugged my drink, and every time I see his name, all of these horrible feelings come up of that experience that night. Because I think I was almost one of his victims. So I'm really fucking glad he's finally confessed to the murder. He has murdered another woman in Peru. Who knows how many other victims or would-be victims there are of this man, but I wanted to share that. Be careful, especially if you're a young woman. Just be careful, because people like that exist, and they're fucking awful, and they're monsters, and they're inhumane, and they will do anything to get their way because they think they're entitled to it. So hopefully he stays in prison for the rest of his life, because that's where he belongs. He's truly a bad man. And I don't say that like ever about anyone, but this guy's a bad dude. He's a demon. So rot in prison, Joran. Best of luck.